This is session number 31 of the Silvertrac Extra.
Thanks for tuning in to the Silvertrac Extra, your source for the best tips, tricks, and how-tos to dominate the security industry, helping you improve your business, win more contracts, and crush your competition. Here are your hosts, Chris Anderson and Johnny Page.
What's up, Silvertrac Nation? Johnny Page here and Chris Anderson. And today on episode number 31 of the Silvertrac Extra, we're talking about why you have to go paperless with your daily activity report. Chris, we are going to have a blast with this one because there's a number of different angles and reasons why, but it's shocking, actually, how many companies out there are still writing their reports.
I can't believe that. You know what? Even to this day, I still struggle with that when guys call me up and tell me they're still doing paper. Blows my mind.
There's very few industries out there that you could think of. I can't remember the last time, even down to doctor's notes, like your reminder card for when you have a doctor's appointment. All of it's automated. All of it is digital now. It's shocking that there are some companies that are very resistant to moving to the paperless reporting. However, I think today we're going to put a nail in that coffin. And first, let's just kick things off with the number one reason is that paper is just such a waste of time.
Oh, a complete headache. Absolutely. And the cost alone. I mean, think about it, John. You go to the restaurant, they don't even give you a receipt anymore. You ever see the iPads now at the table? You pay with your credit card and walk away. So, these guys using it today, they got to make a change if you're out there doing it.
Yeah. So first way that paper is a waste of time is that dispatchers and supervisors have to take the time to collect these things. Either the guard is dropping them by the office or the supervisor's making another round and going and picking them up. Is that somehow these paper reports have got to make it back to our central office for us to either scan the report or even worse, you just end up having the officer slip the report under the customer's door.
Yeah, that's not happening anymore, John. You and I both know. I mean, well, let me go back. It's still probably happening with them doing it, right? But not for any more than 90 days because they'll have another company there, The reason why you and I both know they're bringing it back to the office is because there's spelling errors. It's a mistake. They got to make sure that the guy wrote the right stuff. And what the dispatchers are doing is they're writing a Word document that they can email.
Yeah.
And then they still have to store the written content for liability reasons, keeping it in a shoebox in their storage closet, right? And how much is that? That adds up. You know?
So we end up chasing reports that get lost. We either end up having to, there's so much extra overhead that goes into managing written reports. Whereas if we have this already in a digital format, you use a tool like Silvertrac to develop the report right there in the field. Number one, it's faster for the officer. 9 times out of 10, depending on how old they are and how big their thumbs are, it's either just as much time to type out the report on a tablet or a handheld device as it is to write it. And there's a couple of benefits. Number one, we don't get the rounded times on there or the pre-written reports, and we'll cover that more, and that paper really lacks accountability. But just the waste of time in managing an actual written report.
Yeah, it's a complete waste of time, John. This is going to be a tough subject for me because this is my pet peeve, man. I just can't believe people still do it,
Yeah. Another thing to think about is that paper isn't searchable, right? So a downside is that when we have all written documents and then we scan them in, we can't search for when was the last time there was a noise disturbance on the property. We also have to manually track those type of incidents if we're going to give any type of like productivity report. So if at the end of the month we'd like to say, hey, this is what we accomplished in the month. So how many incidents we found, how many liability issues we discovered, how many risk items we avoided, all these different things. If we want to say exactly what our production was that month, we've got to manually collect those if you're doing the written reports.
Yeah, and you can't edit them, John. Can't spell check them. If they're writing with a pen, you can't erase it, right?
Yeah. So the next item is that paper really is a waste of money. You talk about a lot of different designs, Chris, for specific customers. They'll ask you, hey, can you change the report this way? Can you change it that way? So now you have 10 different types of reports that are out there. And then just the way that the officers abuse stationery is horrible.
Oh, John, this was a huge cost for me, and I was just so busy all the time. And I'm going to embarrass myself, but trying to stay on the, on the accounting side and look at your stationery cost is tremendous because the guys come in, just like you said, they use it as a napkin, right? Or they don't want to come into the office to take it to the guard shack on the 24-hour shift. So every person that comes in that works there always grabs a stack of DARs. Of course, they leave it in their own car, they leave it at home, or they fill up the guard shack, and you got 6 months supply at the guard shack, right? And then you're reordering the stationery again. So you got to be careful because your costs just go through the roof alone just on ordering that.
Yeah, or how many times do you get a report written in crayon or in marker?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, that you bring a great point. How many times I had to go out and buy pens? I went through pens left and right. So what I do, I bought cheap pens, of course, and I found those at everybody's house, right? Everybody would take them, and nobody keeps the same pen. They just go right into my cabinet. I literally, John, had to have a huge padlock on my cabinet and lock my stationery room up just to keep from things leaving the office that shouldn't have left.
Well, Silvertrac Nation, we've got a few more reasons why you have to go paperless with your daily activity report, and we're going to share those with you right after we hear from our incredible sponsors over at Paperless Proposal. So take 1 second, we're going to cut over to our sponsors, and then we'll be right back here with our featured conversation.
If you own a security business, I want to recommend a tool that will give you a big competitive advantage and help you win more clients. This powerful tool is Paperless Proposal Software. Paperless Proposal Software helps you create impressive business proposals in minutes, and it allows you to easily track and manage all of your proposals. Give your business a big competitive advantage by using Paperless Proposal Software. Get a free demo at www.paperlessproposal.com/Silvertrac.
So, in review, first, paper is a waste of time. Second, paper is a waste of money. Third, Chris, paper isn't accountable. We talked about they round off their times. First of all, if you really want to slack off as an officer, you just pre-write your report, or you write at the end of the shift. You're rounding off all of these times. There's no proof as to when it was actually written. Super easy to falsify the report. Hey, you could be an all-star on paper and never actually do the rounds, right?
Yeah, and the worst part, it's a good excuse for a guard to go sit in his car. I'm writing my report. Always, right? So when we went to the technology, I removed them from the car because they can stand to do it. It only takes a second. So it's a big point because every manager that I spoke to said, it's funny, every time I come here, your guard's writing his report.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And another aspect of that is that you can't include photos. And if you do include photos of like incidents, now you're tracking down a camera, uploading them. They're not date or time stamped. Could have been taken any time. You're tracking down the officer's phone. He took it the wrong angle on the phone. Took the picture of the wrong angle. It was grainy. There was a reflection in it. Then you've got to upload that to the item. There's just so many issues that come with so much extra overhead. Again, we go back to not being able to, very poor accountability. And if you do have the accountability, you are getting the photos. It takes the extra overhead time to put them into the report, get them over to the customer. And then there's always a question, will these hold up in court? Because you have no idea when they were taken.
Yeah, it's not date and time stamped. And on top of that, we know the fact we got the GPS, right? You can see whether it was written and where it was written versus paper report can be written at home, right?
Yeah. So last, this is going to be a particularly funny one that I'm sure that you have plenty of stories to go along with, is that paper is just messy and unprofessional.
These guys used it not only for a napkin, but I'd see spilt coffee on it, right? Or they scratch or cut themselves. They use it as a Band-Aid, right? They'd smear their food or their cheeseburger over and still think they can deliver it to a client, right?
Yeah.
Wrinkle the DAR, we can go on.
Yeah, right, in every color under the sun, right? You get some with one of those little pens that has like the 8 different colors on them, and they decide to get all creative and write one in green, and then the next one's in purple, and
the little pen, the great little pen from Disneyland, right? Well, even better, instead of using a work towel to go check the oil, let's use about 3 sheets of my data activity report and spend 10 cents to check the oil, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you just have such a higher likelihood of the spelling and the grammar errors, at least when you're writing it in the report. We can't fix a ton when you're doing it. We're using the handheld device. We can't fix a ton of the grammar errors, right? Like if it's still 10 words that are spelled correctly. They just don't all go together. We can't really fix that problem, but at least you have some element of spell check in there when you're writing or when you're typing in the reports over just a messy and unprofessional report when you're doing the handwritten DARs.
Yeah, that's why everybody puts check. Okay, right? And they can even abbreviate the check. They just put a check mark and put okay. So that really looks great.
Yeah, right. Just so many ways. So this is the challenge here. We would love to help a company, and this kind of goes back to the value add, or should I use this as an upsell? Just if you were to use Silvertrac as an efficiency tool alone, if it wasn't to help differentiate your company or be a value add, if you were to simply use it to be more efficient, I mean, Chris, we get messages all the time. Like I just talked to a customer the other day, just finished off replacing all 25 of their radios. They're no longer using radios anymore because they're using the dispatch aspect of Silvertrac. So that, they're going above and beyond just simply eliminating paper, but we're talking about getting information in real time. We're in a time-sensitive industry. Most of the time, security incidents are very time sensitive. So we're getting communication in real time. We're much more professional in what we can deliver to the customer. We can search the reports. So we really just go way above and beyond. Let's take a second in the industry and let's say, hey, just because our customer's not requiring it right now, doesn't mean that we don't have to offer an electronic or a paperless daily activity report.
Yeah, and guys, think about this. Right now, I know there's a bunch of you out there right now that pay more money to your guard personnel because he can write a good report. And with the report he's submitting, right? So if you can reduce that cost and bring in let's just say, because minimum wage here in California it's huge, right? So if you can cut that cost and be able to take your C guard, we call them, and turn them into an A guard using technology, think about the payroll cost you're going to be saving yourself too, because now you can take anybody and put them anywhere.
Chris, last but not least, and this is probably one of the most important reasons why you have to go paperless with your daily activity report, is because your competitor is.
That's right.
It's not just Silvertrac customers out there. Look, we're in a highly competitive industry as well. We've got competitors out there, and they have customers, and there's just so many different solutions out there. Whether a company is just having officers write their do a Word document instead of a written document, everyone's going paperless. And if you can't sit there and say 3 years from now that you could still be writing reports, or 5 years from now. It won't be acceptable anymore. So if you're going to stay up with the industry, find a solution. Whether it's Silvertrac, or it's a form builder, or if it's one of our competitors, find a solution and start going paperless with your daily activity reports. Save yourself the time, save yourself the money, and save yourself a lot of the headache that these written reports are causing you.
Absolutely, guys. You got to. New generation. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, if you want more information and a more detailed article, of course, we have a pretty hefty list here. I know that we listed these off, and this full list of reasons why you have to go paperless with your daily activity report will be on our website at silvertracsoftware.com/31 for episode number 31. You can get all the details there. Also, give us a listen in iTunes or in Stitcher Radio. We're available with you on the go. So whether you're on your way to work, you're doing a patrol, or you're just at your desk and you want to listen through iTunes or Stitcher, you can find us there. And until next time, my name is Johnny Page.
I'm Chris Anderson.
This is the Silvertrac Extra, and we'll talk to you soon.
This has been another episode of the Silvertrac Extra. For more insider information, visit silvertracsoftware.com/extra. Listen on the go by subscribing in iTunes. Want to hear your questions answered on the show? Visit silvertracsoftware.com/questions to submit your requests.